Hey guys, Andrew here with Funnel Boom. Today we're going to go through how to set up tag sequencing in Google Tag Manager the right way with the new Facebook pixel. Well, I keep saying the new pixel. It's like a year old now, but this is June 2016, and a lot of people are still making the switch over. So what you're looking at right here is actually like, as much as I talk about the Facebook pixel and write about it, my account is still in this old, this is my Google Tag Manager account for my website, funnelboom.com. And you can see here, I'm actually using a deprecated or kind of non-optimal setup to control tag sequencing. So what I used to recommend back before Google Tag Manager released a new sequencing feature late last year was that you use the data layer. It's kind of a workaround to control sequencing, but we don't need to do that anymore. So in this video, what we're going to do, we're going to walk through me transitioning over from the current like kind of wrong setup to the new setup. So if you're in a situation where you already have something running through Google Tag Manager, or you already have your Facebook tags running through Google Tag Manager, this will help you go step by step. Or if you're starting from scratch, this will give you an idea of what you need to do. So what we're going to do here is we're going to actually use this block of code here instead of our standard base pixel. Now, all I've done is kind of taken and split out. I've just got down to the script or the track page view call from the actual code. So if you compare this to what I have here, I've taken this top part here that you'll get from Facebook. So down to the close of the script tag, and I have that here as well. But I've also added underneath it gtm.onHTML success. This is a callback. Now we'll talk through how this works in a second, but just know that the code's a little bit different. I'll put try to put the code in the notes on YouTube. I'm not sure how well that's going to work, but what I've started to do here is use the new callback feature that Google Tag Manager has. And I've also started dynamically pulling in my Facebook pixel ID rather than hard coding it in the tag, which is kind of a best practice, I guess. Not a big deal if you're not using a bunch of pixels. But so let's just go through this step by step. So our first step is we need to enable, you see some of these variables in the curly brackets in our code. These are referencing variables in Google Tag Manager, right? So anything that's in double curlies here, we have to be sure that we have set up in our account before we reference it in a tag, or else it'll throw an error. So step one, let's go enable these variables. So I'm going to go over to variables. Now you'll see we need container ID, which is actually part of the utility section. All you got to do is check the box to enable it. We have HTML ID, which I don't have checked, so I'll just go ahead and check that. And then I need FB pixel ID, which is not a built-in variable, it's a custom variable. So I'm going to come down here to user variables and create a new one. I'll call this FB F, if my keyboard will catch up here. All right, sorry about that. Had a notification that was blocking my keyboard. FB pixel ID, all caps. So I'm doing these all caps because this is actually a constant, which is just kind of a programming holdover that I try to stick to. And when I say constant, it's just like a static value that's never going to change. So for the variable type, I'm going to choose constant, like I said, and we're going to use my pixel ID. Let me grab that. I forgot to copy it over. Okay, got the pixel ID, so I'm just going to save that here. Create variable. So now I should have everything I need. Let's see, I got container, HTML, FB pixel ID. All right, good to go. Now, if you set up FB pixel ID as a variable, you can actually straight copy this code directly over because you'll need to set your FB pixel ID variable to your pixel ID, obviously. And everyone's block of code here should be the same then. So I'll copy this, come back to tags, base. All right, I'm going to get rid of all this. I'm just going to drop this in. Now you'll see here that we actually have the FB pixel ID variable in two places, here and here. I'm not going to go into too much detail about how this works, but basically you see there's a try catch block in here, which basically means Facebook's going to try to load the pixel here. And then if it fails, or if it succeeds, it's going to call back and say, hey, this tag, this custom HTML tag with whatever ID is associated with this tag completed successfully. So now any other tags that were waiting on this to complete are good to go to fire. But if it doesn't work for some reason, it'll fail. And we'll be able to set that the condition in our other event tags to say, if it fails, don't fire the event tag. All right. So then the other options I set it to 10. This doesn't really matter, to be honest with you. The higher the number, the higher the priority should be, in theory. So it's not a big deal. I do 10, but doesn't really matter. I'm going to do tag firing options, and this is important. We're going to do this once per page only, okay? Because once the pixel is loaded in the page, we don't need to fire it again on events. So I'm going to do continue. I'm doing all pages, and then you won't see this. Your tag will fire right before these tags yet, but I'll show you how we're going to set that up. So once you set that up, let's hit save. All right, so now I've got two unpublished changes. That would be my new variables and my tag change. So now let me come into one of these events and show you how you would set this up. So here we have the lead I'm firing from. This is a lead event from the digital marketer bonuses that were given out on this certain landing page or whatever, or on the thank you pages. So it's just a lead event. I'm actually passing the course name dynamically based on the thank you page URL, which is something that you could do. Maybe we'll talk about in another video if you guys are interested, how to just set one lead event tag and not have to deal with 1,000 lead event tags. But so the important part here is not necessarily the event tag. You'll be able to structure your event tag like normal, like this. The important part is down here in the tag advanced settings. So when you first open your tag, you're going to see it like this. You got to click advanced settings. And then we're going to go to this tag sequencing section right here. And I'm going to do, so I set this one to once per page because this fires on page load. If you're doing an on-click event or a form submission event, you could change this to once per event. So under tag firing options. In tag sequencing, the important thing is that we choose fire tag before this lead event fires. I'm going to choose my base pixel from the drop down. And then I'll check don't fire this event if the base pixel fails. It's not going to be catastrophic if we don't check this, but I just tend to, just as a best practice. Now this, if you remember, our base pixel is firing on every page. For this pixel, I just have a URL rule set up for the thank you page URLs for the 10-minute ad creation thank you page and the perfect audience thank you page. And so, yeah, that's it. I already had that kind of set up. Let's just check a couple other events just to be sure the tag sequencing is set up properly. Looks like it is. So now let's just test this before we publish it. So we'll go to preview and debug. All right, so base pixel fired, that's good. And then my view content event fired, which is one that should wait on the base pixel. And let's reload and take a look at Chrome DevTools to get the full story about what's being sent to Facebook. So I'll filter for Facebook in the box here. All right, here's my view content event with 200. I just want to be sure it's 200, and I want to be sure that my variables are getting populated properly. And sometimes Chrome DevTools locks up like this. I'm not sure why. Okay, so once I click into the event, I'm going to scroll down to the query string parameters section, which is at the bottom of this little sidebar that pops out. I'm looking for status code 200. That's good. Again, if you have another view content event that's status code 307, that's normal. So don't worry if it looks like they're double firing. Just be sure you have just one with 200 status code. and I see my data down here. So looks good, and I'll go back. You might want to check if you have some other events, like a lead event or something, like a thank you page. You might want to hit that just to be sure, but I'm pretty positive this works. So I'm going to click publish now, leave preview mode, and now I'm good to go. So that pretty much does it. Hopefully that's helpful. Again, I'll try to paste the code snippet in here in the YouTube video description. But thanks for watching.